What is happening, Dolphins fans, and welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate with your host, El Capitan. Tonight, on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, we got a special guest in the house. We have a couple of things to discuss, right? We're going to talk about the Jags game, the Dolphins being triumphant in week one, finding themselves 1-0 in the division with a three-way tie with none other than the team they're going to face on Thursday, the Buffalo Bills, oddly enough, the Patriots. And maybe we'll touch a little bit on how much the Jets and Aaron Rodgers look terrible. Another thing me and this special guest are going to talk about is Thursday Night Football, baby, going against the Bills. Can the Dolphins get a commanding lead in the AFC East? Can they be triumphant against the Bills? No time like the present. So before we get in here, make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Subscribe if you are new. If you're listening on Twitter or Facebook or Twitch or wherever you guys are, come over to YouTube, subscribe over here. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple Music and Spotify, make sure you guys are going to TFTGnetwork.com. Great way to find a way to connect to all of our pages, all of our social medias, and find us here on YouTube where you can like, subscribe, and get involved in the community. So let's get right into it.
Turner Yell makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30. This is the dynamic hill. He's in for 6. Tyreek Hill. Touchdown. What a block.
Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it.
Yes, welcome again to another episode of the Fins Tailgate with your host, El Capitan, and I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to bring my special guest up here. We're going to get right into it. You guys may know him. He's the Spectre. He's the Poltergeist. He's the Wraith. He is the ghost of Adam Gase. Welcome. How about that? What's going on?
Modern day Dr. Seuss, man. I love it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I had a little bit of a rhyming going on there. Way to point it out.
That was nice. That wasn't intentional?
No, bro. I was right off the top of the dome.
Right off. You're so good. No, don't even know it.
Just right off the top of the dome. I'm like, you know what, Ghost.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead. Poltergeist. What else? And then it just starts coming. So,
nice.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome, man. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. I reached out a little bit ago. I was like, hey, I want to start doing a thing on Tuesdays, bringing in a special co-host guest. And, I want to wait until the game for week one happens so we could talk about a game, then look forward to another game. And I was like, I can't think of anybody better for a first guest, man. You guys, with your boys, Bobby and Joe over there with the Dive Bar podcast, crushing it right now, having great content, informative. I love what you guys are doing. I love what all three of you were doing in the community before the podcast, right? Heavy presence on Twitter, involvement with the fan base, interaction, all what it's about with being a part of the community. If you guys aren't following at Ghost of Adam Gase, there's his Twitter handle. Great follow. Check the guys out at the Dive Bar podcast. Follow all of them. Great bunch of dudes. You can't help but notice on camera. They're all a great bunch of dudes, right? But I appreciate you coming through, man.
Man, thanks for that intro. Yeah, it's we appreciate that. I appreciate you having me on. Being the first guest is really cool. I'm excited to see where you're going to bring, who else you're going to bring on, and starting to something new here on Tuesdays. Because really, I mean, we're in that part of the season before like meaningful baseball is being played. It's not October baseball yet. The hockey season is going to get started in October, so it's perfect to start this on Tuesdays in September.
Yep. And I figured if it, you always have the Monday morning reactions, right? Everything's going to get bogged down talking about the last game, talking about, what went right, what went wrong, stuff like that. So I figured, and then once Wednesday comes around and beyond, you're really delved into the next game coming up, especially this week, right?
Yeah.
But I figured Tuesdays you're still feeling some kind of way about the game, but you're also kind of trying to lay it to bed and look forward to the next opponent. So it'd be a great special guest type of episode. So I figured I'd slot it in this year, and I think we're gonna hit it with a banger, dog. I think we're gonna get in there.
That's perfect. I agree. I think we're gonna be great.
So, real quick before we get on, because as I was doing the intro, I thought to myself, Dolphins tied, 3-way tie, Patriots, right? What? Right? But the Jets on Monday night. Did you catch that game?
Oh, dude, I was hate watching the entire time. How can you not? Yeah, I mean, if there was the Bills fans were hate watching it, Patriots fans were hate watching, Dolphins fans were hate watching, and I don't think anybody really expected them to win the game. But it was kind of just nice. Like that was probably 10% of the reason why I wanted Miami to win the game, so I can at least just talk whatever shit I wanted during Monday Night Football. Really, that was like 10% of it. I was looking forward to it, and like don't get me wrong, like Jets fans were doing the same thing to Dolphins fans on Sunday. So like I don't want to hear it. Like, oh, you're putting all your time into the Jets. You were doing the same thing, Jets fans. Look at me in the face. You were doing the same thing Sunday during the afternoon, watching the Bills game, watching the Patriots game, watching the Dolphins game.
Oh yeah. First of all, we had to hear about them. It's funny because remember last offseason, it was sickening all offseason. It was sickening. The Jets, they're picking it. Every time any sort of football talk was happening, the Jets inevitably were brought up. And then this offseason, super quiet until camp started. And then they quadrupled down again. It's like they saved up all the Jet love, for lack of a better term. Gross. You might need to go get checked out for a doctor and get a penicillin shot if you got the Jet love going on in the bedroom. Just so you know, ladies, watch out. But there was then they're picking them. Now, mind you, this is a team that's quarterback went down with an Achilles injury on like the fourth play, week 1 last year, as we all know. Him being back, they're picking them as Super Bowl favorites. The capping was crazy to watch them inevitably do what the Jets do and absolutely shit the bed. Priceless, buddy.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Aaron Rodgers looked really good on those 2 drives because football games only last 2 drives. You only have to be good on 2 drives. One of them being the scripted drive after they got forced in a 3-and-out. So you go back to your scripted drive because you weren't able to run all your plays. And then the other free play where the safeties were flat-footed and thought the play was dead. So I guess he looked really good. But the Jet fans, I think you got to give them a little bit of grace. They have been so used to mediocre to below average to awful quarterback play for the last, 2-3 years, especially last year. So anything that's over baseline of average or even over baseline of terrible quarterback play, it's going to be heralded as something that they've never seen before and something so great. And they're really getting caught up in those 2 drives. I mean, the Jets, I think Connor Hughes, he's one of the Jets beat writers. He put out a list of all of the Jets drives up until the 3rd quarter. And it was just like 3-and-out, punt, interception, touchdown. Like that's what, if you were going to ask me if that was an Aaron Rodgers or Zach Wilson line, I couldn't tell you the difference.
Yeah. And the stat line as well, eerily similar to how week 1 went when Zach Wilson played for them. So I don't know. Listen, not to say that Zach Wilson got unfair hate, right? Like we know he wasn't that great, but the unfair amount of love for Aaron Rodgers, the Jet, mind you, not Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay, how I remembered him, a while ago. It's just been a dumpster fire, and that's right on par with them. And you're right. I do kind of feel sorry for the fan base in a way that, like, they're kind of a real bad person, but you're like, man, that's just they deserve everything they get. But gosh, you almost want to see them catch a break, but then you remember who they really are, and you're like, yeah, they deserve what they're getting. So,
The thing that I was not expecting was the Jets' run defense to be that bad. Because I actually did buy into the hype of that Jets defense, that defensive line, that linebacker core, that secondary. The secondary played well. Sauce is great, even though I give him all the shit on the timeline. I think he's probably the best corner in the league, bar none. But at the end of the day, you can't be that soft up front. And I did not expect the Jets to get run through like that so badly. The time of possession was awful. 49ers did whatever they wanted on the ground. You
they obliterated them.
And I gave the Jets kind of a little bit of an edge, even without Christian McCaffrey. I was like, wow, now they actually have a chance to possibly take over this game if this offense gets going. The offense never really got going. They had, 2 drives. One of them, again, there's a scripted drive because they went 3-and-out in the first drive, and then Aaron Rodgers does what he does and catches the safeties flat-footed who think the play's over, and you get a free seam shot. Does that convince me that the offense is going to take a huge step from was last year? No, because you still have Nathaniel Hackett calling plays. He still looked like he was calling plays for Zach Wilson and not Aaron Rodgers. Despite what you might think, there's going to be adjustments and all that, but I really wasn't impressed, and nothing really worried me about that Jets team at all last night.
Yeah, it's you're right there. You said something about the defense. I just kind of assumed on par. Robert Saleh, they've had great defenses there in his tenure. Now, mind you, right, that is the 49ers. That is the team that was in the Super Bowl last year. They were going to give them the business in prime time on Monday night, especially because I'm sure they're a little spicy about losing the Super Bowl, getting beat by the Chiefs. Chiefs got their number as of late as well. Chiefs got everybody's number right now. It's all about getting over that Patrick Mahomes friggin' hump. But anyhow, I didn't expect that defense to just allow the gouging that they did throughout the game. Just the pushback that the offensive line was getting off the D was wow. I mean, and then you mentioned Sauce, and I agree. He's one of the best young corners in the NFL. I would say Pat Surtain, to me, pound for pound, I think he might be the best right now. But that's debatable, right? We could continue that debate. But there's a lot of speculation. He dropped out on 10 plays in a row or something. And same thing, they bench Aaron Rodgers, saving both of their marquee athletes from the onslaught of bad stats that they were both going to accrue, right? I think that they took mercy on their talented players so they wouldn't continue to have piss poor stats. There's a little bit of reverse Pat statting there, you know what I'm saying? So just a complete failure as of this point. Will they right the ship? Will they get better? I don't know. I predicted when they got Rodgers that it was only a matter of time before they lay the failures on Robert Saleh's head and fire him and promote Nathaniel Hackett, but ipso facto, Aaron Rodgers will run that team up and down. And it'll be a bigger dumpster fire, right? And they'll probably do it one more year, and then he'll go. A friend of mine, D1, you might know him, D1 on Twitter.
Of course,
he goes, D1. He goes, he'll be in, playing for the Vikings in 2025 or 2026. That's where his future is. He's the Brett Favre 2.0 right now. So it's crazy how history repeats itself. But damn.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was the Jets fans are really clinging to 2 drives. That was it. It was 2 drives, and they said, "Oh, well, he didn't have the ball long enough." I'm like, you said that last year. The offense couldn't get a drive going, and the defense had to stay on the field, and that's the same. We are seeing that if you took out the quarterback's name, you're seeing the same deal with the Jets they had last year. Their defense couldn't get off the field, and their offense couldn't produce points. Like what they're trying to convince everybody in the timeline that something's different, but this is exactly how the games went last year. There's no difference. There was literally no difference. Zach Wilson, he could put up 7 points. He can put up 7 points.
Definitely good. And the defense gets a turnover on a short field, he could put up 14 points. That's how they were winning games last year.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like there was literally no difference to game flow than there was last year with the Jets. The defense couldn't get out the field, and the offense couldn't score points or stay on the field. That's it. Yep. Like I don't understand why they think that this was a positive game because Rodgers caught a safety up the seam flat-footed because the safety thought the play was over. Like, no, dude, come on. Zach Wilson had a couple flash throws too. Doesn't matter.
He did, and flash runs at that. I will say this: Jets and Jets fans crowning champions, all-time champions of delusion, right? And we have plenty of delusion here in fan base. That's part of being a fan. You will be deluded, but their level of delusion is downright medically. Somebody needs medicine with the craziness. But hey, that they get played by the mainstream media often to juice them up, and it's crazy. So let's get into the game, the Jaguars game. You were at the game in attendance, met up with your guys from the show, Dive Bar Podcast. Make sure you guys are subscribing over there and checking them out. In attendance with the game, I called the game. I was watching it here. Slow start for the offense. A lot of lateral. I mean, more screens than I think. It's like we put every other play was a screen. But started getting it going in the third. I'm sure, as you noticed, that Javon Holland swung the momentum of the entirety of the game, and then sealing that momentum swing to Tagovailoa's connection to Tyreek Hill on the 80-yard thing. Give me your feelings. Let's go. First quarter, second quarter. What was the tone around you and the peeps in the building?
The whole first half was bad vibes. By the time we got to halftime in that second quarter, I mean, people are sitting down, people are booing. It's quiet as a mouse. People were going already in line to get something to eat or go to the bathroom. People are mumbling. And it's just like, it kind of felt like the Titans game last year in the first quarter, where like the offense just couldn't get something going. You couldn't run the ball. The offensive line wasn't necessarily playing terrible. And then Sanders missed a kick, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is the Titans game all over again. You just start getting flashbacks to this team. So the first and second quarter, pretty much just a blur, really. There were a couple Jaguars fans in our section, and they're really rubbing it in that they're up 14-0 at one point. I made sure that they made amends by the end of the game. But going into halftime, it wasn't fun, man. Thank God they scored before going to half there. I think there was a minute left. It should have been a touchdown. I don't know I wasn't watching the broadcast, so I wasn't sure if they talked about that. If that was booth reviewed. I know it was inside 2 minutes. I still don't know to this day, but everyone in the stadium saw that he was in on the jumbotron. So I'm pretty sure that they were showing replays on the broadcast, but I didn't see them. I didn't go back and watch that.
I always just attribute that type of bad play call to the Vegas phone in, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
The prop bet was they couldn't take the hit.
Yeah, he was in. But we had a lot of lateral game plan in there. It looked like Mario Cristobal when he coached in Oregon. If you watch that offense with Justin Herbert, pretty much every single play looked like that. And what's kind of crazy too, and it might work in Miami's favor rolling into Buffalo. The Cardinals killed Buffalo with screens.
Oh my God, I noticed that.
Did you watch that game?
Oh, I didn't catch it the entire game, but I went back and watched some of the all-22 film breaking through. They murderized them with that screen game with the running backs.
So I don't know if that was intentional by Mike McDaniel or if he had an in on the Cardinals game plan. Probably not. That would be an insane conspiracy. But stranger things have happened. And to put that on tape in a win and against a Buffalo team that just got killed in the horizontal game, I mean, that's amazing because you know what Mike McDaniel is going to do against a divisional rival. We think that he held back in this game and went kind of vanilla with our offense and he was very conservative, really. And now you can open up those deep shots. We're going to probably see some fake screens. Like, I don't know what he's going to pull out, but it's just very coincidental that the Cardinals killed the Bills with screens in our entire first half, and pretty much most of the second half was a screen game. So to have them focus on that, I'm sure that Mike McDaniel is going to open up that playbook, and hopefully Waddle, he always eats against the Bills, and we see a repeat of that.
You said something there, and this was kind of a conspiracy I had right after the game. The show after the post-game show. It's something I've been bringing up, and I think we're aligned here. Dolphins kind of held back, like the Bobby Boucher's coach with the green book from the Mud Dogs. You know what I'm saying? He held his green book to the side. He's got a couple of plays he didn't want to reveal. Dolphins able to tough it out. Here's to go back to the game just a tad bit. Something I noticed, it felt like Javon Holland stopping that touchdown, right? Jaguars really driving. That was a great drive by them. They should have had that touchdown. Javon Holland literally saved us from that touchdown. Didn't have the angle to make the tackle, all the leverage. He was going to go in, punch the ball out. We get the ball. I feel like that adrenaline dump to us going and scoring afterwards, the Jaguars started getting in their head, oh no, we might lose this game. Meanwhile, even before the Javon Holland punch out, the Dolphins team were winning this game no matter what. The mindsets on the energy from the game, was that the sentiment you felt in the stadium as well?
I mean, at halftime, dude, I have probably one of my best receipts of all time, where I broke down that, it was an awful first half, but Miami's still going to win the game by 3. I tweeted that at half. I think it was, was it 17-7 at half?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, it had to be, because they didn't score any points in the second half.
It was 17-7.
That Jalen Ramsey, they had some confusion in the secondary. He's going to come back, have a generational second half, and that they did 3 3-and-outs, a turnover on downs. And they apparently Tua fired up the guys, and he's a bit more of a leader in the locker room this year, more than he's ever been. Yelling at guys, getting on their ass, chewing them out. Tyreek said, he loved getting chewed out by Tua because he loved seeing that fire in him. But the feeling in the stadium, we were down bad, man. It sucked. Because we're just like, are you serious? Like, we're really going to drop this game 0-1 to the Jaguars. I mean, and people are saying, like, oh, why are people acting like the Jaguars aren't like a perennial playoff team?
Bro, they're a good football team. And come the end of the year, when they're in the playoffs as a wild card or winning the division, even
they were the first seed 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and we know that. First of all, the explosion of C.J. Stroud. While we all also know Trevor Lawrence is playing injured in his throwing shoulder all year. So I mean, half the year anyhow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what the disrespect that team gets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with their defensive front, bro. Like, they're going to be. Chances are they make it to the playoffs this year. So
they'll have a winning record, and if they don't win the South, they could sneak into the playoffs. But I think the AFC East does have the chance of sending 3 teams. Hopefully it's only 2, but I could see the Jaguars winning that division. And it's a good team. It's a good football team. David Thomas Jr. looks incredible.
He looked good.
Trevor Lawrence was making some good throws out there, but it's a good football team at the end of the day. We knew, we even said it on our pod that it was going to be a tough test with that front 7. Their edge rushers are very good. They're very good edge rushers. They got a good defense. Their corners and secondary are a little bit soft, but they played well. And I mean, that offense, ETN and Trevor Lawrence, it's no joke. But
their corners have some great speed too. I'll give them that. And something a lot of people don't talk about with Jaguars edge rushers, they've got a great ability to not only turn up field in the pass game, but immediately get lateral in the run game too, to play back on the run. They're a very good football team.
It's a good football team. They're going to have a winning record, and just people acting like, you barely beat the Jags, like as if I would say the Patriots, but apparently they can win games now too. But it's very
like they're the Panthers. There's the comp. They're the Panthers. Yeah.
It's just like Miami Dolphins stuff where you'll never get the credit no matter what.
Well, come the end of the year, will this be a game, a win that people will give the Dolphins credit for and Tua in particularly at beating a above 500 football team?
No, because they were 0-0. They were 0-0 at the time of beating them. So they could go 16-1 and they'll never get credit for it. So that's
right. They're like, yeah, but when you played them, they didn't have nothing. They weren't nobody.
Just win, man. Just win at the end of the day. Second half, the Weaver's defense making those adjustments, I think, put a lot of confidence back into Weaver, especially after that first half. That was a really good adjustments. Really good adjustments. I mean, you can see it's cool, like where my seats are. It's right over the 50-yard line, but on the 300 level. So you can see plays developing. They were way more aggressive on defense. Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller, if you watch, they're basically planting their feet at 5 yards and forcing Trevor to look downfield. They weren't chasing the receivers downfield. They were planting their feet at 5 yards and playing what's in front of them and forcing, Trevor Lawrence to look off those short routes and look at something deep and force him to make a throw in that second half. And The Jalen Phillips played very well. Chop Robinson, hopefully they move him around, coming up. I know it's only week 1, but his biggest knock coming out of the draft was that he, as soon as he can't beat you with speed, the play's over. And we saw a little bit of that show up on preseason. We saw a little of that show up on Sunday. I want to see him over the A gap. I want to see what he did in Penn State. B gap blitzing, A gap, move him around. Mo Kamara was inactive for the game. I would like to see him get those reps, those early down reps. But I think the defensive line, they played a great game. They got gashed just a couple times, but then they locked down in the second half. I mean, it was definitely an adjusted defense just from what I've seen schematic wise than what we saw in the first half.
Yeah. That defensive front looks mean. And I think, especially in that second half, Weaver called a clinic, man. He put on a clinic. He really did good. And I think, here it is, week 1. We've only got what we can project and potentially predict. I would have predicted and did that the defense would be a little bit slower coming along. New DC, new scheme, new terminologies, whatever. While the offense would be firing on all cylinders. Offense, little slow start, caught themselves in a good way and rode the momentum while picking it up in the second half. But the defense did not only enough, but they did they impact plays from this defense around. Emmanuel Ogbah, impact plays. Jalen Phillips, impact plays. Calais Campbell set the tone on in the first series. Javon Holland. This team, as the season progresses, things get a little bit more, feeling it a little. This is going to be good, man. I feel like this team has good balance on both sides of the ball. It makes me very encouraged of what this defense was showing me, coupled to what I know the offense can do. I am a little bit worried about the dropped footballs. That made me – I can't believe Durham Smythe had as many drops as he did because we know how sure-handed he is. I was hoping and expecting, knowing how thin we are in depth at wide receiver, that Braxton Berrios was going to be a little bit more effective, and he got the targets. I expected him to get them. And do you attribute that to more them not getting enough live game action together, the rhythm, or what? Are you just thinking, what do you think?
Not sure what it was. I think it's just the week 1 yips. I mean, Durham Smythe, he's probably one of my favorite players on the team. He does his job week in and week out, and it's very, very uncharacteristic. So I think he's deserved some grace there. Kind of, it's funny to say that he's earned those drops because he's done so much for the offense in between the tackles. And
he has like an 80% catch rate over his career as a Dolphin too. So it's
correct.
Like,
every time the guy touches the ball, something good happens. So it was very uncharacteristic of him, and I'm sure that he knows that. And he's a humble dude, Notre Dame guy, so it's he'll get it together. And then Jonnu Smith, friend of the pod, but he had a drop, but that looked like that play he could have gone the distance. That looked like that the Atlanta play. I believe maybe it was against the Titans. I wasn't sure. I believe he would have had a 60, 70-yard touchdown. Had he caught that ball. There were 3 blockers 25 yards downfield, and they were all linemen, and there was I think a corner. There was one corner.
I think he just got a little excited on that
too.
He
saw it.
Plus, he's like, oh, and there's always something we've always said in football is it's the easy ones you drop. It's the ones you had all the way that you drop. So is what it is. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think in any way, shape, and form that this is the identity. The drops. But knowing what drops we did get, Tua still cranking it well over 338 yards. I mean, it for whatever reason, it just didn't seem like he threw the ball as much because it was so much, sideline to sideline play. But ultimately, number 1 in passer yards right now. The passing leader of last year remains in first place right now. And bro, that off-season training program he did, I can see the difference already. Both the big passes in the game, the one to Waddle and the one to Tyreek, both of which how he stepped up, had time, And, he didn't get the happy feet like we've seen him do, and understandably so, because he hasn't had blocking. So after that 2.5 seconds, he's thinking, oh, I better look out. Something's coming. He didn't do that, sat, reset his feet, and uncorked those footballs. And they just looked great, man. I'm excited about all the work he did this offseason. One of the things I was looking for carefully is to hopefully see a difference that the offseason programming and another year in this offense had into and I feel like we got to see plenty of that in week 1.
Yeah, you saw, progression with Tua. Running the ball a little bit, he's getting more confident.
Hey, I hit that prop bet, baby. I hit that prop bet. I took Tua on the over.
Over 2.5. It was
2.5. I was like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
but one thing that was really cool to see with Tua is I don't know if it was designed or if it's just something that he implemented or he's put into his style or something the quarterback coaches taught him. But he double hitches on a couple of the throws. And one of them was on the deep ball to Tyreek Hill, where Jalen Waddle was running a crossing route. It's a little bit shorter than Tyreek Hill's. He hitches towards, he hitches once in the pocket, then takes another step back, and then hitches again, and then uncorks the ball, which is really cool to see because when you're hitching in the pocket and pump faking, that safety is going to bite like. He hasn't.
You can't. The alignment of your hips. You'd be a bad defender if you didn't break that direction. It's crazy.
So I'm very interested to see if that is designed, or if that's something that kind of Tua cultivated on his own. But it's very unorthodox. You don't really see like a double hitch like that. You can see, moving safeties with your eyes, kind of give him a little shoulder fake, something like that. But that physically hitch in the pocket, take another drop step, and then hitch again, and then rip off a bomb that's right on target, allowing Tyreek to make the play that he does. It's really cool to see. It's something that I personally haven't seen too many quarterbacks do, if ever.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder this too, right? Now that you point that out eloquently as you did. The narrative, defenders have said it. They've trolled to us saying it. Oh, he's a one-read quarterback. He's staring down. Him resetting and adjusting his hips to open back up to go to a second read like that, while also, a little pump fake in there.
Yeah.
Having them just completely take themselves out of where he really wants to go with the ball.
Yep.
Playing right in their hand. Yeah, go ahead. Think I'm staring that guy down because I'm just trying to get you to move over a little bit more now. It's definitely I want to see more of that. So let's get on to this Buffalo game.
Sure.
We're couple days away. We're going to be ready, gassed up. It's going to be huge. Dolphins got to get over the hump with beating Buffalo. It's just for far too long now, the Dolphins dropping games to Buffalo, tight games we should have won. Most importantly, that last game last year that really put us in a bad place. We got to go on the road in the playoffs to Kansas City to freeze our South Florida asses off. Revenge, right? Even Mike McDaniel in his post-game locker room speech was like, enjoy the win, but who's coming. He's juicing up the boys, right? What do the Dolphins need to do, in your opinion, to not only be successful, but be able to be in defense of the defense teeing off on Tua, to maintaining Josh Allen? I know they have some new wide receiver weapons. I feel like there's going to be some stuff like that, but give me your take on this game here.
If there's any opportunity to knock Buffalo off early in the season, it would be now. Their secondary is decimated. Their defense is decimated. No Matt Milano. I think Teron Johnson, who was already a backup in that system, he is now out. I'm not even sure if DeMar Hamlin is playing yet, but he was a backup player last year. I think he was hurt at the start of training camp. New wide receiving core. The edges aren't really filled out for Buffalo yet. That defensive line, I think the Jags have the edge on that front seven that we just played. So it really, they just have to be themselves and do what they do best, and execute on time, execute on rhythm, give Tua the time that he needs. The offensive line played pretty well. Liam Eichenberg, Nancy Pomposi, I'm going to give him his flowers, man. That guy played a great game at right guard. Tua had time back there to make decisions. He was able to get to his second read. But really, that's really all that Miami has to do is run their offense the way that they know how, stay on time, stay on rhythm. And I think Mike McDaniel, again, we're going to see something that we haven't seen yet this season, even though it's the second week. Jonnu Smith, we didn't see any Jonnu Smith packages. And we know that is in the playbook. We know that Jonnu Smith is going to be in that backfield. He's going to be taking reverses. He's going to be taking handoffs, screens from the backfield. So we're waiting to see that. And I think that he really held back in that Jaguars game to not really show all of his hand. It was almost a completely different offense than what he normally runs. We were in the stands. We're like looking like, where are these deep in routes? Where's the rail routes? Where's the combination routes? Where's the speed outs? We didn't really see any of that. So I think, as long as we attack that defense the way that Miami went after the Jags in the second half, and that second half defense shows up, give Josh Allen some fits, especially he's got an injured left hand, I think.
His non-throwing hand is injured.
Very padded gloves. So that means that there was probably some significant damage to the hand. If they're going, it's probably taped up under there, probably has a metal plate on it, and they probably put the padded glove over it. So that's probably what he's dealing with. But it's on his non-throwing hand. Still Josh Allen. He's Josh Allen. He's Superman, but you got to make him turn that ball over. Got to make him turn it over.
Yeah. Well, you know how to do that. You just got to get him to be trying to work outside the pocket, work him back in, and make him throw the ball. That's where he makes his mistakes, typically. I did notice in watching some of the Cardinals game with him that, Josh Allen still doing Josh Allen things, running the ball. If they let him escape outside the pocket, especially when they brought 5 or more in a blitz, that's when he was able to catch them. That's when the windows open downfield to throw. I'll be interested to see how Weaver handles this, how he uses his safeties, maybe sneaking down in the box with an overshaded rushing coming from the other side, someone to account for him if he comes back the other way. I think in man-to-man coverage, we should be fine. I don't see any of their weapons. I mean, listen, all respect to Matt Collins. I know we all know the athlete the man is, and he had a couple of catches, a touchdown. I know he's going to be good. I'm not really high on that rookie wide receiver they got, dude. I mean, I could see the talent, but I thought he was, I don't know. He looks a little raw to me personally, but Cook, got to account for him. That guy between the tackles, if you get a bad angle on him, you're turning upfield and chasing him real quick. So if we can, to me, I'll be interested to see how Weaver does it, but I would imagine keep a little bit of a tighter box and test Allen down the field early to try to force him into these bad throws that we know eventually he's going to do. So I'm excited about the game.
You got to put pressure on him. And I think that, bringing in Mo Kamara off the inactive list, I think that was a very strategic inactive list. I don't think it had anything to do with talent. Even they said that Ethan Bonner, that was a surprise that he was inactive, and it had nothing to do with talent. It was just the personnel that they wanted for the Jaguars. And so these inactives, it's not going to deal with injury. It's not going to deal with talent. It's going to be about the personnel specific for that week. So I would like to see Chop Robinson moved around and possibly be that Josh Allen killer that we've been looking for. We thought it was going to be Jerome Baker at one point. So it's we really need that guy. We really need that guy that's going to chase him around. I think that you're going to see an aggressive Anthony Weaver defense. All the players that we've had on the podcast, they have all mentioned that this is a way, way more aggressive defense. The way the press coverages are, the way the coverages are working, it's inherently aggressive.
And you're afforded a lot more freedoms as well, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Ramsey was lining up over center. Tanner Conner was came out of the huddle and he saw Jalen Ramsey line up over center and he played there. And so you as much as Mike McDaniel, I don't think that he has shown his hand yet. Anthony Weaver has not either. And really hope that they have a game plan for Josh Allen. I mean, Jalen Phillips looked great. Looked fantastic.
He looks so fast, bro.
There's not going to be a lot of right tackles that are going to contain him. Shore up that right edge position, whether you're going to have Chop there, bring in Mo Kamara, move Chop around, kind of have like a NASCAR package. But I really do think that if there's going to be any time to beat the Buffalo Bills, it's going to be in this week too. And if they get past Buffalo, man, this team has a very good shot at going 5-0 going into the bye week. I don't want to look ahead at all because it'd be freaking crazy to look past the Buffalo Bills game. But this game could be a huge stepping stone This could give them the confidence going into an early bye week in a few weeks, going up to Seattle. That's a good football team up in Seattle. That's a tough place to play. Come out of Seattle with a win and you come home, get some revenge on the Monday night against the Tennessee Titans. So this game is very, very important, even though it's, this early in the season. It's a very important game.
Yeah, definitely. Divisional opponent, one that's had your number for years now. I do like that, short week, catch them early, get them at home, bring them here. They were in a dogfight just as much as Miami was week one. I mean, the Cardinals gave them a run for their money for sure. I do also like that, Dolphins can, they get this win. And yeah, they got to travel out to Seattle, but you got a little bit of extra time too. And, when you come back from Seattle, you got a little bit of extra time for that Monday night. So there's the schedule. I don't like the early bye, but seeing how injured we kind of came into the season, it's probably going to be best for us, especially getting Chubb back. Man, I can't wait to see what this defense looks like when Chubb comes back healthy. But, Dolphins take care of business. They're setting themselves up for, an amazing start to the season. And let's be frank, right? If we're looking at the totality of the season, we know the team, gets a worn down later in the year, and going on the road north hasn't been very kind to Dolphins. And to me, it's race to 12 wins to try to secure home field advantage as much as you can to at home here in Miami. So you're playing late in the year, hosting, to keep that weather on our side. I don't know if that's going to be the case as far as we can correlate, how the team's going to play in years past to this year, but I would like to control my own destiny as much as I can by keeping home games, keeping it in South Florida. The fans, could you imagine, bro, the home game playoffs with this team, AFC East Dolphins, bringing a wild card team? I don't think there'll be ever a moment in the stadium that you can hear anything other than that. You know what I'm saying? That you just hear the whole time. Exciting, bro. I think this is our year, bro.
Yeah, the road to a Super Bowl, road to an AFC Championship, that does run through Miami. There's no other way that this team is going to make the Super Bowl or AFC Championship on the road. They're a different team in Miami, and that's not a knock on the team at all. They just play better at home, and they should have had a home playoff game last year. And the players know that. They've said it. They said that we shouldn't even been in that situation in Kansas City. And they're taking accountability, and they know that, and they know the best chance for Miami to get to a Super Bowl is through Miami.
Yeah, and the additions on offense along with the schematic change on defense, let's make it happen, Captain. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this. Everybody watching, hit the like button, all that stuff. I'm super stoked about this game coming up. Let's we got a good 10 minutes or so left in here. Tell everybody about the dive bar. You got a couple of your boys over there, had a couple of players, lay it on them for anybody who's watching that doesn't know.
Yeah. If you don't follow them, I think it's dive. What is it? What even is our ad? Is it Dive Bar Pod? The Dive Bar Pod. That is. We had the done there. So at the Dive Bar Pod. Honestly, like you said, Bobby, myself, and Joe Robbie, we've been on Twitter for a little bit, always interacting with fans. And we got together one day and kind of just floated it. And I think that was like back in February, like, let's do a podcast. I think, we'd get a few listeners and people that'd be interested in what we have to say. Really didn't materialize. Things didn't happen. I'm working, we're all working 40 hours a week plus. Bobby, I think he even took some of our podcasts out in the middle of Gulf of Mexico while he's working on the rig. Joe Robbie's taking calls in the Bahamas because he's, there for work, not pleasure. I'm working, 12-hour shifts here and there. So it's, it was tough to get on, but, we floated it out there, and Blake Ferguson follows Bobby on Twitter pretty closely. And all they do, so everyone knows, by the way, all of these players, all of them see everything everybody is saying. Like these guys aren't on Twitter. They don't know who you are. Everybody knows who you are. They're seeing everything. They know who the bad accounts are. They know who the good accounts are. They know people that hate the team. They know people that love the team. They know people that only talk shit on the team. So they do know who you are. Even if I've had a couple players mention some smaller accounts, and I'm like, how do you even know that, dude? And dude, I'm telling you, They know
awesome.
they're out here in these streets. They just don't respond, and they're being professional about it. But just so you know, before you send that tweet hate on somebody, you
What?
know how
Some of
they're
well,
people
just
too.
that actually could come back the other way. They're like, oh yeah, they are watching now. They're really turning up on the trolling.
I
But
think so.
just just so you guys know, in chat, I went ahead and put the link to the Dive Bar podcast YouTube channel. Go ahead, get over there, subscribe, stuff like that. I'll put a post about it and stuff. Keep everybody informed. Yeah, some great players. I love the Ethan Bonner. I loved the Travis Wingfield episode. Great episode, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know what again. Tyreek, obviously, getting Tyreek, bro.
Crazy.
What a snag. What a friggin' snag. I mean,
That was a crazy night.
I don't know how y'all kept it together and didn't fanboy out and gush. You know what I'm saying? Y'all did a great job, man. You did a great job doing it. Cause I don't know. I'd be like, hee hee hee, like a little
Yeah.
schoolgirl on Tyreek Hill. But no, great work, buddy. You got some things coming down the pike and stuff like that. That's people need to go ahead and subscribe. Great interviews coming up. Interesting comments, takes, just good stuff, man. It really is. And it's good that, to the point you're making, they see that there's this bridge. You're doing quite the community service. There's a bridge happening where, players, dude, listen, people forget, man. And that's how people treat players too, as objects, right? They take away the humanization of it, which allows them to, yell and scream and hate people that they have no personal interaction with. And, it's fine and all, but then they get personal with their interaction to people. These are human beings. They don't need that type of nonsense more often than not, right? But you guys bridging the fan interaction, the desire to hopefully get, a perspective of a fan, the hopes, the likes to the players and their interaction. They want to interact with people. They just don't want it to blow up in their face. They don't want to be hung out to dry. They're not looking to get gotcha. They're not looking to get blindsided.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're providing a great bridge building, and I can't wait to continue to watch as it grows over time because, who knows? This could really snowball in a much bigger thing throughout the NFL where people don't have to have their guard up so much. They will, because there's plenty of wrong people out there. But a nice human interaction. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that we kind of really take pride in is, although we are Dolphins fans and we're all sports fans, it's fun to talk to them about the game. But if you listen to the podcast, it's really only about or not even, probably about a quarter of the conversation. One of my favorite episodes was with Jonnu Smith. Talking about all things life, talking about his dad passing when he was younger and going through his growing up in Philadelphia, and going to school down in Florida. So that was a really hard hitting episode for us. And at the end of that, we kind of just logged off and we're like, oh my God, like that was so cool. Like, we didn't talk about football. Like, we talked about football for a little bit and then we talked about his life story. And that was awesome, dude. And that was, we were grateful for him coming on and sharing all the things that he did. And, we hope to have all the players on. Right now, it's a bit of a slow time, obviously, in season.
Yeah, they're busy.
Not going to share too many details, but we had something special lined up for the Bills and Dolphins game, and it just was too tight of a schedule for everybody involved. But when we go up to Buffalo, we're going to have a really special week on the dive bar. I'll tell you that much. That's going to be a really cool episode. So just stay in touch.
Stay tuned.
It's going to be really special, man. And I'm going to really
keep them wanting more. There you go.
I'm hyped about that one. We got things lined up and things in place. So hopefully it materializes. But that's going to be a very fun, it's going to be a very fun episode.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Way to keep them wanting more. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's done. Yeah, man. That John, and with Jonnu too, that's the type of difference. There's a personal connection. Yeah, it's football stuff and everything like that, but you're understanding the people, and hopefully the byproduct in the long run is that they understand these are humans that they're being critical of at their job. Granted, we all get upset, we get angry, and but having an understanding of the person a little bit in a personal setting and what you guys are providing, hopefully, again, the byproduct is a little bit more understanding from people who don't have that, because they can recognize these human qualities in these individuals. Player athletes, that's what they are. Professionals, yes. Yeah, they get, they get paid handsomely for their stuff, but let's not act like they're not putting everything on the line for that handsome dollar too. So, and is what it is. I appreciate everything on the episodes, and again, I'll be watching. I got it on. So I, got personal accounts too. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm so overwhelmed on my YouTube account that I had to put that on my personal account, because I've been wanting to. Hey, this is hitting. I only got a couple of things on that's on my personal account,
Exactly.
so I'm hitting on that thing. But yeah, guys, again, in the chat, go over there, subscribe, make sure you're liking them and stuff like that. What's your prediction on this Bills game? What's your prediction on this score with the Dolphins and the Bills? Obviously, we're predicting wins around this parts, but what kind of outcome? What kind of game? What kind of Dolphins going to run away? Is this going to be close? Give me what you got.
Yeah, I actually just got off the pod with Justin Pugh from former Giant offensive lineman here, and we were talking about the Bills game. And I'm pretty confident that if there's going to be any time, that it has to be Miami's time now to win this game. And they've always the Bills, no matter what, they've always struggled to cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle especially when they were down their corners when we played them in week 2 when we got that win in Miami. Jalen Waddle had a day in that week. Dude, that year they almost swept them because of Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle's on fire. He got their number.
A couple plays away, 1 or 2 plays away, one stop away from sweeping them that year. So my prediction is that Jalen Waddle goes off and Miami wins this game 31-24.
Ooh, I like that. I think that's going to be great. I see somebody in chat says 38-21. That would be great. A shellacking between the Jets being so bad on Monday and a shellacking of the Bills by the Dolphins, the trolling and shit talking by Miami fans throughout the AFC East. God, I want to savor that for as long as possible, to just shit all over the other teams, because this is part of the banter, right? It's in all good fun. Now some people get a little butt hurt and or take it in a serious manner, but this is football, baby. The shit talking amongst each other, this is what it's about, right? Like this is it. We all off season we're Jets are gonna win the Buffalo. Josh Allen's your dad. Tua's gonna smoke you. I don't know what the Patriots fans are saying. I'll be honest, I can't even believe they won a game already. That's crazy. But now everyone's put up or shut up, right? So this is time, man. It's good. It's go time.
Yeah. I mean, talk about people taking it seriously. And nothing I really say is to be taken too seriously unless it's like a Dolphins take on here. But I know all about that. But it's time. It's time to take this division. Go 5-0, walking into the bye week. You get River back. You get Isaiah Wynn back. You get Bradley Chubb back. You get Odell Beckham Jr. back. So imagine this offense staying healthy and adding those guys to this offense already. A-Chain doesn't have to be the de facto wide receiver 3 anymore. We can use him the way that we want to use him. But it's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be having fun, hopefully, and screaming at Bills fans in the audience.
Yeah, man. God, dude, it's gonna be a good one. Ghost, I'm not gonna hang you up anymore, dog. I appreciate you coming through. Let Bobby and Joe know I'm gonna be reaching out to them in the coming weeks. They on my radar. I'm gonna get the boys up here and do some of the same skit type of thing. I appreciate it. Everybody go subscribe to the Dive Bar podcast, doing the Miami Dolphins Lord's work out here with the players. I appreciate every last bit of it. And man, again, we'll have to do this again sometime. You know what I'm saying? We'll rotate this in, but some crazy playoff thing or something. We'll line something else up once we get to the end of the season. Well, maybe some postseason stuff. We'll bring maybe a bunch of people on or something like that. Have a blast.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Ghost. Appreciate you, bud. I'll holler at you.
Fins up, baby. Let's
Fins
go.
up, baby.